Yeah, you almost got it under 15 minutes. Almost.
Almost.
Almost. It's okay. It's okay.
You can't count my rant at the beginning though.
Well, hey, you know what? That's
Whatever. Philadelphia. All right. So here we go. By the way, Mikey, do you see Shane in here?
I do. Shane is in the house.
All right. So I want to see it in the comments, Facebook Live. I want to see MVPs. Chat, man, you guys are blowing up this chat. I love it. Who here wouldn't mind learning a few more things about how to master what's going on between their ears tonight? And who in the comments, in the chat, would like to learn how to deal with curveballs? And I'm talking about life, not just in sports. The two people we have on here today can speak directly to that. So first, we're going to start with Shane Greene. Shane, currently a pitcher in the Atlanta Braves organization, having previously played for the New York Yankees and Detroit Tigers. The reason why Shane's in here is, again, not another athlete to come hang out and ask him what color socks he wears, but Shane's journey has not been easy. It includes health scare, losing his college scholarship after injuring his arm and having to have surgery. He's had to switch roles as an athlete. He's had to deal with trades, people telling him he's not worth it. You know, I mean, despite all that, this guy continues to persevere and has already beaten the odds of becoming a 6-year professional athlete. I mean, Mikey, do I need to say anything else about this guy? I mean,
I don't. I think Shane likes to speak on himself a little bit.
So, without further ado, Shane Greene, welcome to the champion. Everyone, give him a warm welcome.
What's happening?
Welcome, man. Welcome.
Can you hear me? This is my first Zoom call, so I don't know.
Oh,
I'm not even on my own computer. I don't have one.
Are you serious? This is your first Zoom call?
Yeah.
Hey, JR, you and Shane live right around each other. He's an Orlando boy.
Really?
I grew up in Claremont.
You know, I was wondering what the heck was going on. There is a mosquito in my office. Speaking of Claremont, I'm in Winter Garden. Literally, I think I just got bit 3 times in my own dang office.
It's tough. It's a tough ticket.
Facebook Live. See, more reasons to move to Southern California. Shane, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
Mikey's probably giving you some context, but this is a group, man, who's battling their own, things between COVID and just injuries and stuff like that. So, man, I'd love to kick this thing off and just ask you, you've had obviously the Tommy John and getting the rug pulled out from under you, as an amateur, then the whole blood clot situation. When it comes to getting thrown some of these curveballs at you, how have you handled it? And what type of advice would you give the young athletes listening to this?
Well, first, I think it's important to understand that everybody's journey is going to be 100% different. There's going to be people that are supposed to be the biggest and best thing, and then there's going to be people that come out of nowhere. But I think that you can learn from anybody from their journey because they're all different, right? So for me, for example, when I was in high school, nobody was very interested in me playing college baseball for them. I only had one college baseball offer, and I took it. And my best friend that I grew up with had 4 or 5 different offers, one of which was FSU started talking to him. So, so it's man, this guy that I've played with my whole life, I've been just as good as him, I thought, my whole life. And then now I can't get an offer and he's got colleges all over him, and he's like a brother to me. So there was never any animosity or any kind of competition between us two, but it was just the reality of the fact is that I wanted to play college baseball just as much as he did, but not as many people saw the college baseball player in me. And then I go to college, and I was a freshman that was supposed to show up and help the team right away, and I got hurt and had to have Tommy John, and then they told me that my scholarship was gone. So like I went from trying to just get a scholarship to now they're taking it from me. But I never doubted my skill. I never doubted my passion and my love for the game. I just knew that everybody's journey is going to take them through different paths. But at the end of the day, you got to allow that journey to be your strength.
I got several questions. By the way, for those of you on Facebook Live MVPs, start throwing your questions in the chat. Before we go on, Shane, this is really important to share. Everyone see my finger? Could everyone see that black mark on the finger? I got them. I got them.
Yeah.
I got them. Just so you know, we can move on now. Oh my Lord. Shane. Gosh, man, this is so good. Okay. So you said, my best friend had 5 different offers. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here going, well, hey guys, I'm here. How hard was it for you to not play the comparison game? And how did you navigate that? And if you didn't navigate it well, what advice would you give the kids on here, and really the parents who are in that comparison game right now?
I mean, it's never ending. Right? Like even in the major leagues, you're going to be compared to people.
That's a technical difficulties.
It's a good look, though.
If you don't believe in yourself, then who's going to believe in you, right? And it sounds like super cliche, but it's the truth. You got to fully invest in yourself. A lot of people pay attention to the stock market. Well, you're the only stock that you can control. So if you invest your time and your money in yourself, you can control the results of that stock. So I think for a parent, the biggest thing is to get a kid to understand that like you can outwork the person that's better than you to become better than them. And at night, if you're outwork, for me, if I was outworking somebody and I wasn't as good, I could at least sleep at night. I understood that like maybe it just wasn't for me, but there was nothing that I could do more to get to where I'm trying to go, if that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect sense. Love that. There's the first one-liner, JR, with your stock is you have your own stock and yourself.
Are we having a one-liner competition between me and Nick?
I think so. I think at the end of this it's gonna be a competition between you and Nick. We'll see. Hey, so obviously everybody's path is different. Obviously, everybody at some way, shape, or form goes through some sort of adversity in sports. At what point in your career did you take the step of saying, you know what, I'm not just going to outwork them physically, but I'm going to start working on the mental side of it and outwork them on that side? Because you know how it was when we were coming up, nobody really pushed that side of the game on us. I didn't really dive into it until I got to pro ball, and then really now is when I'm getting to the next step.
Yeah, I don't think that there was like a moment that I was like, man, I got to figure out this mental side or I'm screwed, but I think that I learned that if I could change my thoughts, I could change my reality. And then I started setting goals. It happened in pro ball, right? So like my first couple of years in pro ball, they didn't go great. Everybody's telling me I have like good stuff and electric stuff, but like I had a high 4 or a low 5 every year. I led one of the leagues in losses. I have good stuff, right? And like, oh, you got nasty stuff, and I can't get anybody out. So it's like, all right, what goals can I set that are very, very simple, right? That will get me to these very complex statistic goals that I want to get to. And I think when I started doing that, that's when things started to click. Like when I repeated high A, I told myself that at the end of the year, I would rather give up more home runs than guys I've walked. So throw the ball over the plate, basically, because I walked way too many guys, right? But like, as simple and as stupid as that sounds, like it forced me to attack guys, right? And then you learn from those experiences and you develop other thoughts and goals off of that. But that's just a small example of how you can set little goals. Like if I give up more homers than guys I walk, chances are my strikeout to walk ratio, which is what I was really worried about, is going to be all right. You know?
Yeah.
Unless I go out there and give up 50 homers, but in that case, like before I get to 50, I'll reevaluate my goals, you know? And I think that, you know, little like stepping stone goals like that can kind of help you achieve that main goal that you want to get to.
I love that. I love that you said simple, because the simpler you are, like even the most simple goals get you to the most complicated ending.
No doubt. Like what did we used to say to each other before every game?
Just hit it.
Just hit it, man. You can't get a hit unless you hit it.
Hit it. You can't get anybody. Just throw it. Just throw it.
And he would remind me, just throw it, man. I can't throw a strike unless I just throw it up there. So I just got to throw it. So it's like, as stupid and cliche and like ridiculous as that sounds, if you can trick your brain into really thinking those simple thoughts, like those thoughts will become your reality.
Well,
did at any point did you ever want to just throw in the towel?
When I found out I needed to have Tommy John surgery when I was a freshman in college, I didn't, it all happened really fast. But that was probably the closest I was to thinking that it was probably over, because they threatened to take my scholarship away if I couldn't pitch. And, you know, obviously I wasn't like, I'm probably the only guy in the big leagues that was told not to play a position after their freshman year in high school. You know, like I was a pitcher only as a sophomore in high school on varsity, and I didn't even pitch one inning. Okay, so like I understood that, and then I went to college, and now I need to have like this crazy surgery that I don't really know anything about. So yeah, I thought that it was over. I don't know if I thought that like I was quitting, right? But I thought that like it's probably not going to work out for me. And then luck of the draw, my parents started researching, you know, like best Tommy John surgeon or whatever, and come to find out, Dr. Andrews was my team doctor at the school I was going to, which was just a Division II school in Pensacola. So I ended up having surgery from the #1 doctor in the country at the time, probably still, for the Tommy John surgery. And that gave me a lot of hope, you know? So then I went from not knowing what my future was like to like backs against the wall, you know, me versus the world. I'm gonna, if I'm gonna come back from this thing, I'm gonna come back, and it's either gonna, you know, I'll know I'm gonna put all the work in when I come back from this thing. I'll either be better than I ever was, or I'll know that it's not gonna work out. And I came back, and here I am.
So, Shane, you mentioned the whole, you know, having passion. You know, I believe myself and had a passion for the game. I mean, you've heard it. I've heard it. Mikey's heard it, especially as young athletes. It's like, hey, you got to have a passion for the game. What kept you going? Like you said, surgery happened. What's been keeping you going? Because let's face it, arbitration, you lose that case. You know what I'm saying? Like so much has happened, but clearly you've still had a fire in you. What was that, and what's kept it going?
It's a good question. I don't even know if you can answer it. It's like who taught you how to breathe? I don't know. I just do it. You know, like, nobody taught me. I didn't like hit a button and like it was just like I knew where I wanted to be, and I knew that if I wasn't gonna make it there, I'd be able to sleep at night if I did everything in my power to do so. And so I just did it, and I probably did way too much. Truthfully, like I was doing way too much, but mentally, because I was doing so much, there was nothing that could stop me other than myself.
Love that. Switching gears here, I have another different question, a different baseball question, but a different aspect of it. So we came from Detroit together, and now you're playing with a team that's a World Series contender, right? So we went from not a World Series contender at all to a World Series contender. What's the biggest difference you see from, I guess, clubhouse atmosphere, team atmosphere from Detroit to Atlanta?
I mean, I'm spoiled because my team's got like 7 superstars on it. You know,
like culture-wise in the clubhouse,
yeah. But culture wise, man, there's a lot of people on the Braves, a lot more players on the Braves know who they are.
Uh-oh.
Is that bad?
They know. Keep going, baby.
They know who they are, and they don't allow their batting average to like tell them how sexy they are. You know what I mean? Like they could go 0 for 20 and they're gonna be the same. Ronald Acuna is gonna be Ronald. It doesn't matter if he goes 0 for 4 or 5 for 5. He's gonna be smiling. You know. And there's just a lot more of that there, I think, than Detroit. And Detroit obviously was a different kind of feel because you had guys that were trying to make a name for themselves. You know, like a lot of guys that didn't have much time, and so like you know how it goes, bro. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves, man. Like we worked our tails off to get into this situation. And baseball, you can do everything wrong and succeed, and do everything right and fail. So like there's nights that you can go home and be like, I wish I wouldn't have hit that ball so hard, or I wish I would have thrown a worse pitch, you know. And like there's failures that you have to deal with, but you did nothing wrong to fail. And it's like, what do you even do? So you have to learn how to not ride the roller coaster and like take stresses out of your life that you don't even know you have, like keeping your closet clean. Like that sounds stupid, but your closet's clean, like those are just thoughts that you don't have to have, you know, or your bed's made, or your house, you know, like whatever it is. Like right now, my truck is like a locker room. It drives me crazy. It drives me absolutely crazy because it like doesn't feel like I got my, for lack of a better term, shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just if you have everything together, it just feels like you're in the right direction.
Right.
Shane, we have one of our MVPs. I won't name him on this, Noah, but he recently just went on a live and confessed that his room's a mess. And he connected that to just getting in the better mindset, getting better in baseball. So it's like, man, by the way, for someone who didn't know what he was walking into tonight, you are crushing it, my friend.
Noah's his name?
Yeah.
Noah, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Uh-oh.
There it is again.
Again, Shane. Go ahead and say that again.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Whew. Well, Shane, you're done for the night. Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, clock out.
All right, so we have some MVPs that have some questions for you, and it looks like Tim and Sean were first to the party. So go ahead, Tim and Sean.
So,
Oh, you muted?
he unmuted us.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
So the question was, like, if you were having struggles in college on getting picked up in high school, how did you make it to the major leagues?
That's a good question. So I went to college. I went to the University of West Florida, and I was a pitcher there. I threw like 20 innings, found out I needed to have Tommy John surgery. When the baseball team found out I needed the surgery, he told me that I could earn my scholarship back after I could pitch again. So I transferred from there and went to Daytona Beach Community College because it was closer to home. And my roommate, my freshman year, had Tommy John also, and he was from the same area. So we transferred together. We rehabbed together. Neither one of us were on the baseball team at Daytona Beach, but we spoke to the coach there, and he allowed us to use the field to do like our throwing programs and whatnot. And he was going to allow us to walk on the next season, the year after we did our rehab. So we lived together, we rehabbed together. Going into that next summer, I was going to play in the Wood Bat League in Central Florida, the Summer Wood Bat League. And I had a family friend who was a Yankee scout because when he was in AAA as a player, I was like 8 years old going to him for hitting lessons, and he became a good family friend of ours. So I contacted him and asked him if he'd help me build some relationships with some universities and community colleges in the state to try to get them to come out and watch me pitch this summer so I could try to get a scholarship. He watched me throw a bullpen and liked what he saw, had another guy come out and watch the next week. They liked what they saw. The next week they sent me to the Yankee complex to face some guys in like a live scrimmage. That was my first time facing hitters after the surgery. Pitched well. They drafted me like 10 days later, and then played in the minor leagues for 5 years and made my debut.
So let's get this straight though. You got drafted when you weren't even playing college baseball.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I was jumping fences at Little League, Little Leagues the long time.
And you used your resources and you found the best at what you knew to help you get to the next spot.
Yeah.
That's kind of a common theme we've been hearing too.
Yeah. It was a crazy ride, man. It's like I said, you gotta allow your journey to be your strength. Like everybody's is gonna be different. Even if you're the best, even if you're the most talented, understand that you're the most talented and don't let it go to waste. Allow that to be your strength.
Wow. Sidebar to bring a little light. Why don't you tell them about your debut with the Yankees when you threw the balls away, or was it just a regular start?
No, but my debut, I only got one out and gave up 3 runs. My third start ever in the big leagues was in Yankee Stadium. It was my first start in Yankee Stadium. Also the first one that my parents could come to. And I was the first guy since 1972 or 1979 first pitcher to have 3 errors in one game. And the last guy that did that before me was Tommy John.
No way.
Yeah.
JR,
I had 3 errors and none of those runs scored, by the way. So
holy cow.
It was a crazy outing, but it was actually a decent one.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. All right. By the way, thanks for dropping another one-liner. You need to allow your journey to be your strength.
Yeah, I got that tattooed on my arm.
By the way, we didn't pay you to do any of these one-liners, right? To just reinforce what we've been doing for the last 3 weeks.
No, like I said, I have one of the 3 you have written down tattooed on my arm.
Love it. All right, Cole and Brian, you got an awesome question. I'm glad someone asked this question, so I'm going to open you guys up.
Thank you, JR. My question is, when the pitching coach tells you that you're coming in for the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning, what mindset change or flip do you have to make?
Okay, so that question, I think the answer to that question will forever evolve. Because I think you have to continue to make adjustments to stay on top of your game, or you're gonna get complacent, right? So I think the biggest thing for me, so when I'll give you a little backstory to get to what I'm gonna say, and hopefully it helps. When I first got moved to the bullpen in Detroit, I was pitching pretty well, and then I ended up the next season pitching really well in the bullpen, and they moved me to closer, and I pitched really, really well, right? And then the next season, I didn't pitch well at all. I had like 30-something saves, which sounds great, but I was disappointed with myself way more times leaving the field than I was happy with myself because of my performance. It was not a good year. And then I'm sitting down and I'm talking to a guy that I train with in the off seasons, and he's really big on like the mental side and like controlling your thoughts. And we're just talking, like spitballing about, you know, what I think the difference was and all this and that. And he's like, man, do you have an on switch? And I was kind of confused, and I'm like, well, yeah, like when they call my name, that's my on switch. And he's like, no. He's like, you got to have an on switch. You got to do something every time. And I'm like, kind of thrown off, and I'm thinking about it really hard. And then I mentioned to him that the year that I pitched really, really well out of the bullpen, I wore a sleeve on my arm, and I would warm up with the sleeve on. And then once I was leaving the mound to walk into the game from the bullpen, I would take my sleeve off and throw it on the floor. And then the following year when I sucked, I was going into the season like, man, let me get rid of these stresses of making sure I always have a sleeve and where it's at by just eliminating it. And I wore long sleeve shirts, like a long sleeve shirt, not just like an arm sleeve, because I thought I needed to eliminate the stresses, no different than cleaning your closet, right? I had a bad season. My friend Justin, who I'm doing this mental stuff with, he's like, yeah, you took your on switch away. He's like, put your sleeve back on. That's your on switch. Your brain knows that when you pull that arm sleeve off and throw it on the ground, that it's time to go. And so I wore my arm sleeve last year, and I was an all-star.
By the way,
I knew you like that. I knew you were gonna like.
I'm like, Shane, I want to reach. Are you in Claremont right now or close?
I'm on Sand Lake.
Oh, okay.
I'm no longer a Lake County boy. I'm now in Orange County.
Welcome to paradise, baby. Welcome to paradise. All right. So Facebook, everyone on Facebook Live, you MVPs, especially those who are on with Todd Herman. What did Shane just describe? I want to see who gets this. Whoever gets this is the winner tonight for Facebook Live. 100%. Okay. Yeah, it's alter ego, but what about the alter ego that he just described about the on switch? What is it called? I'm gonna let you get a chance to try that out while we have one more question here. So where was Corey? Hey, by the way, Corey, she's a coach. This woman has questions, bro. I thought I asked good questions. She asked good questions. Oh, here she comes. Corey, you're on.
Hey, thanks for being here. So, who are your mentors and why, or who supported you during your journey, and how did they support you?
I'm extremely blessed, and I have a very close group of friends that I've known since. One of them I've known since before I could walk or talk. Like when he was born, I was in the waiting room as an infant. And he has a younger brother, so I was just 5 years older than him. We grew up 3 houses away from each other. And then he's got friends that he's known since he was 4. So I met him when I was 9. And then a couple guys that I met in middle school and then in high school. And like we've kind of came together and formed like this bond that's like a family. Like right now I live in a house. It's got 5 bedrooms in it. I live with 4 guys that I grew up with. One of them I knew before I could walk or talk. The other one I met in 6th grade. We played on the middle school basketball team together. The other one was I was probably 9 when we met. He was 5. He was my best friend's younger brother's best friend. And then the other one I met in high school, and we've all lived together since we were 22, and I'm 31. So like that, and then there's a couple missing pieces that because of life have moved out of town that are still a part of that core group also. But that core group of friends is probably the reason why I'm still single, and also the biggest reason that I am where I am today, because whatever I need, whenever I need it, whatever I got to do to get better, somebody's going to be there to help me do it. From waking up early and working out to, I mean, I've thought I've blown out friends' shoulders from making them long toss with me, to catching bullpens, to, whatever it is I need to do, they're ready for it. And then on top of that, they help with those little stresses. Like, I don't know how to do anything that adult knows how to do, to be honest. I never was forced to do it. Like, when I learned how to write a check for the first time, I was like 26. I never learned any of that. So my friends have always helped me with everything that they could help me with, so that I could focus on becoming the best. And then anywhere from talking trash to me for not working hard enough, even though they think I'm working hard, to getting out there and doing it with me. They've been there since day one.
Shane, I love it, man. And you know what? Am I hearing from you that you have an inner circle and a core group of friends that give just as much as they receive?
Yeah.
Which is a very rare thing for professional athletes. Am I right?
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, I was extremely blessed with the group of friends that I have, and we're more than friends, man. We're definitely family, no doubt.
There you go with that X factor. I love it, Shane, and we didn't pay you for that either. I love it. So, by the way, Mary, you got it. Darla, you were a close second, but they trigger. Okay, the proper term is activation event. And Cole and Brian said, yeah, when Todd did. So Todd Herman, one of my mentors, talked about he doesn't need prescription glasses, but when he puts them on and it hits this part of his head, that activates him to go into his alter ego. So he calls it the activation.
Yeah, that's like when I walk out to the bullpen, I have my hood on.
Hey, yeah. you got the arm sleeve, so your activation.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like you're gonna have multiple at least throughout the course of our day. Like, I have multiple alter egos throughout the day. When I first get to the field, it's the guy that's gotta get in the weight room first and do everything the most that he can do to be ready. And then once that's over with, it's the guy that can have the most fun and joke around and talk the most trash. And then when that's done, it's the guy who can be the most prepared for the game. And then when that's done, it's the guy that will get the job done when it's time to get it done.
Oh boy, dude.
Yeah, not paying them at all.
Not paying you, and I love.
But it sounds like I'm pretty good at this. I'm probably gonna have to charge next time.
Shane, you've been awesome, man. Mike, you got anything last words before we kick him out of here? Who's enjoyed Shane Greene in the house tonight? MVPs, you're blowing up, man. MVPs, Facebook Live. Who's enjoyed this?
You're the best, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, man, just hit it.
Hopefully I'm seeing you in Florida in a few weeks, but we shall see.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Shane, if you ever need a running partner, I'm about 10 minutes away, and Mikey could tell you that.
Yeah, we'll have to get together. I don't know if I'm into like running a whole lot. we'll like work out or throw or something.
All right, man.
All right, dude. Thanks, bro.
See ya.